something was wrong long before my body shut down in public. But I kept pretending I couldn't feel it. In my family, pain was something you worked through, not something you talked about. My parents went to work with fevers. They went to family events with migraines. If you complained, you were dramatic. If you rested, you were lazy. So I learned the rule very early. Keep going, no matter how much it hurts. That rule followed me into adulthood like a shadow. I became the reliable one, the one who stayed late, picked up extra shifts, answered messages at midnight. I listened to everyone else's problems and ignored every signal coming from my own body. So when the pain first started, I reacted the way I'd been trained my whole life. It happened on an ordinary morning. I was standing in the kitchen pouring coffee, mentally going through my to-do list. As I reached for the mug, a tight, twisting pain bloomed in my lower abdomen. It was sharp enough to make me freeze and grab the edge of the counter. For 10 seconds, all I could do was breathe and wait. Then it faded. I straightened up, forced a small laugh at myself, and shrugged it off. Probably just a cramp, I thought. Nothing serious. I didn't mention it to anyone. Why would I? People have real problems, I told myself. Mine didn't count. But the pain came back the next day, and the next. At first, it was sporadic, little stabs that came and went. Then, it started to linger, settling into a dull, heavy ache low in my body, especially at night. I felt it when I drove home from work, when I bent down to tie my shoes, when I rolled over in bed. I noticed it. I just refused to acknowledge it. I didn't call a doctor. I didn't search my symptoms. I didn't tell a friend. I simply updated the story in my head. You're stressed. You sit too much. You just need rest. It'll go away. By the end of the first week, the pain was part of my day. Morning discomfort, afternoon pressure, nighttime throbbing. My body was speaking louder and louder. I just kept turning the volume down. During the second week, the pain changed. It stopped being background noise and started interrupting me. One afternoon at work, I was in a meeting, pretending to listen to a presentation. Out of nowhere, the pain tightened so hard and so fast, I had to press my hands into my lap to stop myself from bending over. My face heated. My vision prickled at the edges. I stared at the table and counted my breaths. Please don't ask me a question. Please don't look at me. No one did. The moment passed. I smiled. I spoke. I acted like nothing had happened. Later that week, I was in the grocery store, reaching for something on the top shelf, when that same pain stabbed through me again. Sharper this time. My knees trembled. I leaned heavily onto the cart, pretending to check my list, while my insides twisted. "Are you okay?" a stranger asked quietly. I gave them the practiced smile I've worn my entire life. "I'm fine," I said, "just a bit lightheaded." I went home, took painkillers, and went to bed early. On the surface, it looked like I was being responsible. In reality, I was stalling. Deep down, I already knew this wasn't nothing. That night, the pain followed me into my sleep. I woke up at 3 a.m. with my abdomen clenched so tightly I could barely breathe. I curled onto my side, clutching a pillow, biting my lip to stop myself from crying out. In the dark, I bargained with my own body. "Just let me get through tomorrow. I'll take better care of you later." Later never came. By the third week, I wasn't just tired. I was drained. Climbing the stairs to my apartment left me breathless. Sitting at my desk made the pain flare. Standing in line at the bank felt like running uphill. I started rearranging my life around my pain without admitting that's what I was doing. I cancelled plans. I turned down invitations. I spent more evenings alone on the couch with a heating pad, staring at the TV without really watching. Still, I told no one. The sentence, "Something is wrong with me," felt too big to say out loud. What if it really was serious? What if a doctor dismissed me? What if people thought I was exaggerating? What if I had already waited too long? All those what ifs built a wall around me, and I hid behind it. The morning my body finally shut down started like any other. I woke up tired, but that was normal by then. I showered, got dressed, and told myself I could handle one more day. On the drive to work, the now familiar ache simmered quietly in the background. I turned up the radio and pretended not to notice. At the office, I sat at my desk, opened my laptop, and glanced at the clock. 9:12 a.m. At 9:15, the pain hit. Not like before, not in waves, not as a dull ache. It crushed into me all at once, violent and overwhelming. It felt like something inside me was twisting and tearing at the same time. A cold sweat spread across my skin. My hands shook above the keyboard. My breath turned into shallow, panicked gasps. I tried to sit up straighter. I tried to swallow it down like I always did. But my body wasn't interested in my denial anymore. I stood up, thinking maybe I just needed to move. The room tilted. The fluorescent lights blurred into streaks. The sound of people talking outside my office door turned into a distant echo. I reached out for the back of my chair and missed. My legs gave out. I remember the feeling of falling more than the impact. The world narrowed to a tunnel of light and noise and pain. And then everything went dark. When I opened my eyes, I was on the floor, staring at the ceiling. There were faces above me, co-workers, pale and scared. Someone was holding my hand. Someone else was on the phone. I heard pieces of their sentences. Collapsed. Not responding. Ambulance. My first instinct was ridiculous. I wanted to say, "I'm fine. Don't make a scene. I'm okay." But my body had already told the truth I'd been hiding. The paramedics arrived quickly. As they lifted me onto the stretcher, they asked, "How long have you been in pain? Where does it hurt? Have you had a fever? Has this happened before?" Shame burned through me hotter than the pain itself. "Just a couple of days," I muttered. We all knew it was a lie. On the way to the hospital, I stared at the ceiling of the ambulance and replayed every moment I'd chosen. Silence, the kitchen counter, the grocery store aisle, the 3 a.m. pain, the meetings where I smiled through clenched teeth. At the hospital, everything moved fast. Blood pressure cuff, IV line, monitors, blood tests, imaging. Nurses spoke in calm, efficient voices. A doctor pressed gently on my abdomen and watched my face carefully. I tried not to react. I still flinched. Then came the waiting. Time stretched thin in that bright little room. I watched the clock. I listened to footsteps in the hallway. I imagined every possible outcome, from "it's nothing" to "it's too late." When the doctor finally came back, his expression was serious but not panicked. He pulled up a chair and sat beside my bed. That alone told me this conversation mattered. "You have a severe internal infection," he said. "It's been building for weeks, maybe longer. Your body's been trying to contain it, but the inflammation has spread. The collapse at work wasn't random. It was your body hitting its limit." He paused, then added quietly, "If you had waited much longer, this could have become life-threatening." Those words landed heavier than anything I'd ever heard. I thought of every chance I'd had to act sooner. The morning in the kitchen, the night I woke up in pain, the grocery store, the office meeting, all those moments when my body whispered, then spoke, then shouted. And I ignored every single one. In the days that followed, I stayed in the hospital while the antibiotics slowly did their work. Nurses checked my vitals, adjusted my IV, asked me to rate my pain. For the first time in a long time, I let other people take care of me instead of pretending I didn't need it. Lying in that hospital bed, I realized something I'd never let myself admit. What I called being strong was really just being afraid. Afraid of being dismissed, afraid of bad news, afraid of losing control, afraid of admitting that I wasn't okay. Now, when something feels wrong, I don't bargain with my body anymore. I listen. I call. I ask questions. I refuse to disappear inside my own silence again. Because I know this now. Pain grows in silence until your body forces you to tell the truth. Pain grows in silence until you finally tell the truth.